how I completely disconnected from New Age spirituality. Maybe you've seen my channel before and some of the things that I've talked about. I've talked a whole lot about all sorts of New Age things. Some of the stuff, and maybe didn't necessarily fully believe 100% or as much as other people. Some people get really so far into it that becomes their identity. Fortunately, I wasn't that crazy. I really didn't get that crazy into it. I really didn't. Instead, certainly I believed plenty of things, and I allowed some things to control and shift some of my life when perhaps I shouldn't have. So, for me, I was so much more into this New Age spirituality stuff in the past. But very different from perhaps how a lot of other people do. So what are some examples of this? What are some things that I was into that perhaps I still am into to some degree, but I don't give it the type of importance anymore that I used to? And I certainly don't consider it a spiritual practice. I really don't. So what are some of these things? So one of the things I think probably a lot of people think, like crystals and that sort of stuff. Crystals. Is crystals spiritual? No, really not, right? It's just a rock. Is there anything spiritual about it? No. It doesn't, it's okay. If it gives off any sort of energy or if you feel any sort of way by it, it doesn't mean that it's a spiritual thing. It just, if it brings you calmness, free from anxiety, look, I have a crystal right here. Here it is. Look, it kind of matches the background, right? They're pretty. They're nice. I like them, but it's like, I'm not energy from that. No. Here's like another one. I have a bunch of these. I got a bunch of them. I was really never too much into these sort of things because, yeah, it's crystals. What are we going to do with crystals, right? Sometimes, maybe I put it under my pillow. Maybe I was like, oh, I have a dream about something. And it's like, I don't know. But regardless, crystals, it's just a rock, right? Okay, so what about then? There's another thing I thought about. Reiki. So Reiki, again, I had a very different approach about this as well. Reiki is a type of energy healing where you use your hands and like energy to heal the body. And I've done it. People have done it on me, and I've, well, not really too many. I maybe had it maybe like once or twice minor, like very like brief. And it's like, But a lot of times I just think, okay, you're just relaxed, your body's relaxed. Certainly I do believe that there's some sort of energy. But at the same time, it's like I don't practice it the way that other people practice it. Some people may think, I think the traditional way is that with Reiki, it's like you're inviting in these spirits that are healing you, giving you all this energy that you're giving to the other person. It's like, I don't believe that. No, that sounds not very good, in my personal opinion. So I don't believe in that sort of stuff. I just believe I am the medium by which whatever this energy is around me is coming through me and going into the person or thing that I am giving energy into. I'm not having some sort of spirit hijack my body and control me and that sort of stuff. No, it's about just a type of healing that happens with the energy. And it's interesting. I think that there is some truth to that, but I don't believe that it's how most of the time you actually see it educated, how it's portrayed, all that sort of stuff. I really don't. So Reiki is another one. What about chakras? This is probably one that I was pretty into as well. Chakra healing. Chakras are different energy centers of the body that's supposed to be connected to your spirit and everything. So I was probably, I kind of probably maybe combined some of the chakras with the crystals. So you put crystals on your body and you hear that sort of stuff and everything. And certainly maybe there is some truth to, okay, there was a point in my life where I was very ungrounded. I was not grounded at all. So that means my root chakra is imbalanced, which means overcompensation I had up here. overcompensation, just like this paranoia, this suspiciousness, this like more developed psychic type abilities that I was too sensitive. Maybe that is certainly something, but it's at the same time, it's like, okay, that's like physical stuff. It's really not of the spirit, that's physical stuff to heal your body. Physical. So it's like, I don't know. Just don't really focus as much on that. When I do a meditation, sometimes I can feel, the energy from my surrounding be in my body. But I don't necessarily focus on chakras anymore, if that makes sense. But certainly, I think that can be helpful to some degree. You can do it in moderation and whatever it helps you with. Something else, okay, astrology. Astrology. I wasn't like a too big into astrology, but occasionally I would like, okay, let me look up my horoscope. What does it say? And sometimes it's very accurate, absolutely. But, it just, I don't really take too much interest in that. I don't believe it's like, okay, if you're this zodiac sign, you have to be friends with, romantic partners with this other zodiac sign. It's like, does that matter? I don't think it matters. I really think that is literally, it makes no sense, because you can have people who match perfectly on the zodiac sign, but they're enemies. So it's like something else that was very, very, probably the rest of these are at the top of my list of things that I was heavily involved in, to the point where I allowed it to control my life. Tarot cards. Tarot cards. I was not connected to tarot cards up until like 2025. I used them, felt very connected to them. It told me a lot of things. I believed it. I believed it because it was actually true. It was actually telling me something that turned out to be true. Believe it or not, it was actually true. And I was surprised. The things that it was telling me that turned out to be true. And I put all my trust in that. It's like, I was dependent on it. Certainly, I think it has its place. You can use it. You can use it as a very good psychological tool. You don't necessarily have to have it reveal spiritual messages or premonitions, things that's going to happen in the future to you. No, it's more so a psychological tool is how I like to view it. And this psychological tool basically being, you're dealing with something in your life. Put down the cards, you look at the information, and you get a different perspective. You get a different insight into what you're dealing with, and it's like, I never really thought about it like that. It doesn't have to be spiritual. It doesn't have to tell you what's going to happen in your life in the next few months. It doesn't. And I was very heavily focused on, what does the future hold for me? Shouldn't have done it, but yeah, it's what it was. Another thing, law of attraction and manifestations. This is probably the number one thing throughout my entire life that I've been heavily involved in. Law of attraction, what you believe is what you become, what you think, what you project. Certainly, that is certainly very, very true. Absolutely. But that shouldn't be your main focus. And that was my main focus. It's like, don't think negative thoughts, because I will attract those negative things. Despite the fact that I was just constantly focused on positive stuff, and positive things were not happening, bad things were happening. And I was like, I'm not focusing hard enough on the positive. What about manifestations? I don't know how many times I've done manifestation techniques for all sorts of things. Writing down stuff, focusing on something. Some of them come true. Some of them come true absolutely. Some of the things that have happened in my life, they cannot be explained. They cannot be explained at all, except law of attraction and manifestation. Absolutely. But I was too heavily focused on it, whereas I was almost desperate sometimes. Can't do that now. I think it's very good to write down positive things, write down goals, and just begin to change yourself so that you align with your goals. If you just write down, I have a lot of money. I have a lot of money. Where are you expecting the money to come from? Out of thin air? It could. Maybe you asked for that large sum of money come to you, and then what happened? What happened then? Well, what happened then is maybe a family member unexpectedly dies. And when they unexpectedly die, you get a large inheritance. Was that worth it? That was a stipulation. Was not good, right? I have had plenty of negative experiences from these things, from tarot cards, law of attraction, manifestation. I don't know about the others, but I thought, oh gosh, demons controlling everything in my life because of this stuff. I don't know. Who knows? Thought I was consumed by demons because I was involved in these practices. Thought demons were controlling every aspect of my life. And I'll tell you why. Here is how I got disconnected from New Age spirituality. We're 11 minutes in this video now. And here's the big reveal. Well, that's it, folks. Bye. No, I'm joking. I'm coming back. Part 2. No, we're doing it right now. Here's the thing that happened. Because I thought I was controlled by demons, because these tarot cards, the law of attraction, these manifestations told me, the inner voice of intuition, or maybe it was a demon talking to me, telling me something. It showed me things. And I thought, at one point, I'm going to deny this. I'm going to deny this voice, this thought. I feel as though it's somewhat evil. And it turned on me. It turned on me. It's like it was something positive, something good, to something bad and negative and hateful then. So I'm like, this is demon. This is demon. And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I got myself involved in? What have I done? Getting involved in this stuff that I shouldn't have been. With these demons. What's going on in my life? This is insane. So that's when I had the big realization. Maybe I shouldn't be too involved in these things that I was involved in, the way that I was. I think you can still be involved in all these practices, but very different from what I was involved in. I don't think it was the crystals. I don't think it was the Reiki. I don't think it was the chakra and astrology stuff, because I wasn't really too into that. It was the tarot cards and the types of manifestations and law of attraction stuff that I was doing. These were the top two that I think perhaps demons? Maybe. It seemed kind of weird when I denied it. It was like, negative things are happening. Bad things are happening. But with any negative bad experience, let's take something positive out of this. Negative bad experience can bring forth positivity. It can. It truly can. And you know why? Because when you go through something negative, you have learning lessons. Something that you learn comes into your life, and you realize what you've done wrong, the mistakes that you've made, and how you can better deal with the situation going forward. And that's what I learned. It's like, I don't need dependency on tarot cards. I don't need to be thinking I have to manifest this by thinking positively all the time. It's not going to work. I can change my approach to these things so that it still works in my favor, but I'm not dependent on it. It's not controlling everything in my life. So, just something to think about. Something to think about that I've certainly thought about when it comes to these demons within my life. So, hopefully you got something important out of this, how I really disconnected from this New Age spirituality stuff. Don't focus on it as much now. I just do what I feel is right, and I listen to my own inner guidance and intuition, and not some external source like, what do the tarot cards say today? How can I attract something into my life? I don't need that. Just focus on being my true authentic self and advancing my own life and making it better. So hopefully you got something positive out of this. Let me know. Take care.